The air outside the courthouse in the morning was heavy, not because of the weather, but because of what was about to be revealed. For women stood alone from each other, their silence more deafening than any argument they'd ever had. They were sister wives once. Now they were witnesses, potentially suspects, in a story they didn't even know. In the courtroom, the letter sat on top of the judge's bench, sealed in cracked blue wax. It shouldn't be there. It had been written months earlier by Meri, the chief wife, and some called it a will. Others murmured that it was a confession. But when they discovered it, hidden behind a secret compartment of a jewelry box by her youngest child, everything changed. The courtroom air was like glass, fragile on the verge of shattering. You could hear the taking of breaths, the restlessness. The bailiff's footsteps echoed on the tile, tick-tocking toward something irreversible. Christina's scarf shook in her hands. Janelle had her arms crossed, her eyes darting up to the front. Robin was motionless, lips pursed, but her eyes told everything her mouth never would. Then the judge spoke softly. "This letter will be read into record, per the decedent's request." A hush fell. The attorney broke the wax seal, opened the envelope, and pulled out a few pages that looked older than grief itself. He began to read. "If you're hearing this," the attorney said, his voice barely steady, "it means my heart finally found peace, but yours may not." The women looked at one another. Meri's handwriting was delicate, slanted, familiar. Each curve of ink felt like a ghost returning home. "To the woman who takes my place," the letter continued, "don't trust everything he tells you. Love is a language he speaks fluently. But truth is the one he never learned." Gasps traveled through the courtroom like air through leaves. Cody, seated at the front, did not stir. His jaw clenched, his hand drummed the table once, twice, and then remained still. Robin stared at that hand, as if she knew the beat of a previous falsehood. Sometimes silence within a courtroom tells more than any verdict could ever tell. The attorney hesitated before reading the next section. "If you ever see this letter," he went on, "then someone found out what I could not keep concealed. In the box is the key to the life he built before any of us, and proof of the deceit that we've all been living." They whispered. The judge rapped his gavel once, demanding order, but order was already gone. Christine went white. Janelle's arms dropped to her sides. Robin shook her head slowly. "She wouldn't," she said. "Meri wouldn't do this to us." But deep down they knew she would. Meri had always been the quiet one, but quietness spoke volumes. Quietness never empty. It was full of unspoken things. It was Cody, his tone cutting and defensive. "That letter doesn't mean anything." She was ill, confused, and even he didn't sound like he believed it. The attorney maintained direct eye contact with Cody. "There's more?" he continued, "much more." Then Christine leaned over to whisper in Janelle's ear. "Did you know about this?" "I know, but maybe she wanted us to," Janelle whispered back on the outbreath. "You think you know the people you love until the evidence says otherwise." The judge ordered a recess. Reading tomorrow would continue after he had read the letter privately. But the damage was done. The courtroom atmosphere no longer felt the same now. It was thicker, darker, haunted by specters. As the wives came out, cameras clicked. Journalists shouted names, questions, charges. But none replied. They moved through the chaos as though underwater, each with her own storm. Christine stopped on the courthouse steps, looked up at the gray sky, and whispered, "What did you do, Meri?" Behind them, through the courtroom glass, Cody sat alone. The letter lay on the witness stand like an open wound. He reached for it, but the bailiff stopped him. "Evidence," the man said firmly. "You'll get your chance." And for once, Cody had nothing to say. Only fear. The truth does not just break up families. It dictates who gets to survive them. The next morning, the courthouse steps were again crowded with cameras. But today the wives arrived alone. The silence between them had hardened overnight into something colder, something no longer recognizable as family. Inside, the letter lay on the judge's bench, under escort, sealed again, like a ghost that would not sleep. Christine walked in first, her face tight, jaw clenched. She had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Meri's handwriting, the ink trembling with truth. Janelle followed, her expression unreadable. She wasn't angry, at least not yet, but her thoughts moved fast, calculating. She knew Meri never did anything without purpose. Robin entered last. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. The press had ambushed her that morning, asking if she still loved her husband. She did not answer. Cody was alone at the defendant's table, tapping his finger against the wood. The beat was even at first, then accelerating. He did not glance up until the judge entered. The letter would be read again today, but first, the court allowed the box to be examined. Their bailiff showed it to them, a small wooden jewel box, finely carved with a symbol they didn't recognize. The recently replaced latch shone too brightly against the weathered wood. The attorney placed it on the table and opened it carefully. Inside there were two things, a folded photograph and a small brass key. The courtroom was all holding its breath. The attorney reached for the photo first. It was Cody Younger smiling with an arm around a woman no one knew. She was none of the wives in this courtroom. Cody shifted, his jaw tightening again. "That's nothing," he snarled. "That's before any of them." The attorney turned the photo over. "Do you know her name?" he asked. Cody stopped. "Doesn't apply." The attorney straightened. "Her name is Rachel Jensen. She disappeared 23 years ago." The courtroom gasped. Robin covered her mouth. Christine stood halfway, mouthing, "What is he saying?" Janelle looked directly at Cody. "You knew her," she said. It was not a question. It was a statement reeking of incredulity. All truths have a heartbeat. And at that moment, everyone could hear it thumping. The attorney continued. "The key inside this box is to a safety deposit drawer at Cedar Hills Bank, opened in the name of Rachel Jensen, secondary listed as Cody Brown." Cody's attorney objected, but the judge waved him off. The atmosphere in the courtroom had completely changed. No longer just sorrow but suspicion. Everyone was looking at him now. Cody stood, his voice breaking the quiet. "I was young. I made mistakes. But I didn't do anything bad." Christina's voice quivered. "Then why did Meri keep this a secret? Why wait till she passed away to tell us?" Cody kept quiet. Rather, he glared at the floor, his reflection subdued in the reflective wood. Robin whispered she found something she wasn't meant to. The attorney nodded. "The rest of the letter might explain. With the court's permission, I'll continue the reading." The judge gave a slow nod, and the room fell silent again. The attorney lifted the second page. The paper trembled in his hands. Meri's words continued. "If you found the key, then you found the truth I could not endure. What's inside the box does not belong to him alone, it belongs to us." The woman in the picture was more than a face from the past. She was someone he promised to protect. But instead he buried her memory under new promises, new brides, new lies. The words fall like a sledgehammer. Christina's breath is caught. Janelle rocked back, muttering to herself, "He told me I was his first real love." Heartbreak isn't ever really about losing someone. It's about realizing they never were what you thought they were. The judge requested silence again. But the courtroom wasn't going to obey any longer. The room buzzed with shock, accusation, and something nastier, fear. Cody glared at Christine in the face now. "You think I killed someone?" he snarled. "You should think that?" She said nothing. She didn't have to. Thunder boomed outside the courthouse. Rain began falling, streaming down the tall glass windows. Inside, the lawyer read from the bottom of the second page, "If I'm dead, it's because I finally realized the cost of his secrets. And now so will you." The gavel descended once, but could not stop the storm. The session adjourned and all went slowly to the door, each with his thoughts elsewhere. Christine stepped back, watching as Cody leaned forward and said something to his lawyer. His face was pale now, his bluster shattered. Robin marched through, cursing, "She's killing him from the grave." Janelle stood in the doorway, gazing at the evidence box. "No," she breathed. "She's trying to save us." When the lights dimmed, the image and key sat by themselves under the courtroom spotlight. The images in the photograph, Cody and the enigmatic woman, appeared stuck in a moment that was not about to pass. Secrets don't sleep because the people harboring them do. They wait their time, until someone has the guts to open the box. That night, the storm raging outside did not abate. The courthouse lights glowed faint in the rain, their flashes akin to reality itself attempting to persevere. Christine sat alone in her car, her hands on the steering wheel, her phone buzzing with dismissed messages. Janelle had messaged twice, Robin once. Cody had messaged nothing. He didn't have to. The photo was enough. She finally opened Meri's old text thread, scrolling through years of short, careful messages. Nothing seemed unusual, until one from 6 months before Meri's death caught her eye. It said, "If something happens, look for the cedar key." Christine's stomach dropped. The letter had mentioned a safety deposit box at Cedar Hills Bank. The cedar key. Meri had warned her. The next day, Christine had delivered the news to Janelle over coffee. They sat in a diner near the courthouse, both looking like they'd been smeared with mascara. She knew, Christine had whispered. She knew all this was going to come out. Janelle had stirred her coffee with intent. So the question then is, why didn't she tell us when she was still alive? Christine stared at the table. Because he was still in control. All secrets start with someone who's too afraid to speak, but fear always leaves a trail. Outside the courthouse, the throng of people was more dense now. Rumor had been passed around about the bizarre photo, about missing woman Rachel Jensen. Reporters shouted questions as the wives came down. Cameras flashed like lightning. For the first time, Cody did not quite seem confident. His suit was pristine, but his eyes were frantic. The judge started the third day of testimony. "We will read the letter and hear new evidence about the individual known as Rachel Jensen." The attorney went ahead. "Your Honor, the court has received bank statements which establish that a safety deposit box was leased in the name Rachel Jensen, and funds were deposited from Mr. Brown's joint business account." Cody pounded his hand on the table. "That has nothing to do with anything. She was my friend. It was years later." Christine mouthed silently, "You said you never kept secrets." The attorney continued to read. "He told me Rachel had left, but I did see her that night. I saw the way she looked at him, afraid, trapped. I tried to speak up, but he told me it was not my concern. I thought he was right. I shouldn't have." Robin covered her ears. "Stop," she said quietly. "It's not fair. She's gone. She can't protect herself." The attorney hesitated, then read the next line anyway. "If Rachel's gone, it's because he made sure no one would ever find her." Gas filled the air. The tap of rain beyond was blended with mutter inside. The judge thumped the gavel for the second time, but even the sound of law couldn't drown out the sound of accusation. Cody stood up, his voice trembling. "I didn't hurt anyone. She left. She wanted to leave everything behind." Christina's voice from behind her was shaking but resolute. "Then why is her name still on your bank account? Why did Meri conceal that key?" He turned to face her, his eyes flashing. "'Cause Meri liked to play games. She wanted you all to turn against me." The judge asked for a recess. Tension began bursting out of the courtroom like water breaking through a dam. Christine exited first, avoiding the cameras altogether. Janelle was next, her face inscrutable. Then Robin stayed behind, continuing to stare at Cody. When the hall finally cleared, Cody leaned forward, his fists gripping the table, his breathing tight. His lawyer was muttering something about damage control, but Cody wasn't listening. He was staring at the box of evidence, the photo, the key, the letter. And for a moment, his eyes went soft, filled with something that looked like guilt. Guilt has a way of showing up even when the truth won't. Outside, Christine perched again on the steps of the courthouse, raindrops trickling down her hair. Janelle sat down alongside her, grasping an umbrella that did little to stem the storm. What if she's right? Christine took a deep breath. What if Meri was threatening us of something greater than lying? Janelle took a slow breath. Then we need to find that box. Christine nodded. Tomorrow before court. Cedar Hills Bank. Over in the courtyard, Robin stood beneath the awning watching them. There was rain and tear streaks across her face, phone still tightly in hand. She scrolled through to Cody's number but didn't make the call. Instead, she started a new message, typed out 3 words, deleted them. Back at the courthouse, the janitor swept the floor hours after everyone had left. The lights buzzed softly above, casting shadows on the bench where the evidence sat. Rachel's photo glowed softly in the light, her eyes staring straight into the camera, as if she knew the story wasn't over. And while thunder clattered in the distance, the bailiff turned off the final light, leaving the courtroom dark. The only remaining sound was the storm sound, hanging in the air like a warning that tomorrow's reality would be worse than today's. Love's secrets buried deep don't perish, do something far more evil. Courthouse was not the same the following morning. The storm had passed, but its aftermath persisted. The damp, heavy air a harbinger. The wives arrived early, all of them carrying an invisible storm. Christina's hands trembled as she hovered over her purse, her hold on it tight enough to remain intact. Janelle stepped beside her, calm on the outside but fierce at her center, ready to get at the truth. Robin arrived last, her eyes red from sleepless nights, the memory of Meri's words haunting every step. Inside the courtroom, Cody sat stiffly, fingers clasped together on top of the table. Head learned that one didn't need evidence to have a witness, it testified by itself. The photo and the cedar key had already begun to testify, quietly but inexorably. He could feel them finding him guilty, reminding him of shattered promises, of secrets hidden. The judge looked at the wives, then Cody. Today we will discuss the contents of the Cedar Hills Bank safe deposit box. Everybody is present and accounted for. The evidence shall be shown in front of the court. Christina's heart pounded. This was it, the moment Meri had warned them to wait for. There was a shiver down her spine as the bailiff pushed the box forward, placing it primly in front of them. Its wood glowed in the fluorescent lighting, the brass key already inserted into the lock. Some doors, once they are opened, can never be closed again. The key slipped in and out with a silent click. The top slowly opened, revealing what was inside. There were stacks of letters, photographs, and a small leather-bound book. Christine picked up the first letter. It was to Meri and had been written more than 20 years ago. Her hand shook as she opened the page. The writing was neat, feminine, odd. The sentences trickled like a stream of secrets. I trusted you with him because I thought you were safe. But now I can see the truth. The promises that you all hold so dear were never for us. Janelle knelt, her eyes scanning the photos. They were instantaneous shots of Cody with Rachel Jensen, moments frozen in time showing a part of him no one ever imagined. Smiles, gestures, unintentional touches now presented as infidelity. Robin covered her mouth to keep from weeping. The evidence was evident. Cody's lawyer leaped to her feet. Your Honor, we object. This is irrelevant. These photographs, the judge raised his hand. Objection entered, but the information is directly relevant to statements articulated in the letter and the safe deposit box discovery. Proceed. The attorney grabbed up the journal. Christine paused and then opened it. The pages were written in with apologies, memories, and declarations by Rachel herself. She had written about Cody's manipulation, his promises, and his deceptions. Every word sliced deeper than the last. I left because I knew he would never tell the truth. I left because I loved him, and sometimes love is to let go. But Meri, she needs to know. She needs to protect the others from the man I thought I knew. Christina's hand shook. This changes everything, she said softly. Janelle's eyes were slitted. It confirms what Meri suspected. He's never been honest with us. The hardest truths are the ones hidden in another's writing. Cody's face was white. He never once looked so exposed, held captive by the past. He opened his lips and then shut them. He couldn't think of a single word. The eyes of the women cut into him, accusatory without a single word. The lawyer read the final note aloud. If you find this box, know that it is your choice. Protect the ones he professes to love, or let the deceptions continue. I have done my part. Robin broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, she did it for us. She knew we'd need this. Christine's jaw tightened, her hands balling into fists. Janelle remained still, calculating, the storm of anger and sorrow settling into a sharp, quiet focus. The judge asked for a brief recess, but no one left the courtroom. The weight of discovery was crushing. Cody's silence was silence. Every person in the room felt it. The destruction of a life built on lies. The slow unraveling of a veneer that had been so meticulously maintained for decades. Outside, the cameras snapped away without anyone sparing them a glance. Inside, however, was the drama of four women confronting a man who had so carefully hidden his past, but could not hide what Meri had left behind. When the past knocks, it does not ask permission, it overwhelms. As the session ended, the evidence was returned to the clerk's office, but the impact stayed. Christine, Janelle, and Robin walked out together, each feeling the weight of Meri's last act. Cody lingered behind, staring at the box as if willing it to vanish. He had lost control. For the first time, the wives held the power, not through confrontation, but through the truth that had been carefully preserved for them. And the storm in the outside world, while dissipated, left its mark. Wet streets, leaden skies, and the inescapable fact that all would never be the same again. The courtroom was strained, near unbearable, as the fifth session opened. Rain the previous evening had slicked the streets, and cold gray light streamed through the tall windows, making long shadows lie on the highly polished floor. Christine, Janelle, and Robin entered together, pinched faces, expressions tightly controlled. Every step echoed with their resolve but their terror. They had seen the letter, the key, the diary, and now they had to confront the man who had built his life on lies. Cody slumped against the defense table, serene, or so it appeared. His hands were entwined in front of him, but his knuckles were white, his fingers grasping the edge of the table as if it was a lifeline. The photograph and diary lay on the desk of the court clerk, their silence so much more poignant than Cody's frantic attempt at serenity. The judge cleared his throat. "We will begin with family member testimony regarding the contents of the Cedar Hills deposit box." Christine stood first. Her voice was only slightly trembling as she spoke to the court. "I never really knew him," she whispered, though each word rang with conviction. "I loved him with all my heart, but I did not know the facts of the life he created before any of us. Meri understood and she tried to warn us." Cody's eyes flicked. He was vulnerable for the first time. Robin leaned forward, eyes intense. She could feel the history between him and Rachel Jensen pressing down on her like a weight. Janelle leaned forward, taut but not moving as she prepared to speak. "The people you think you know are the same ones who hide the most secrets." Janelle's words cut through the room like a knife. "I saw the photograph. I saw the letters. And I read Rachel's diary. He never told any of us the truth. He founded his life on falsehoods. And he concealed them for 23 years behind his charm, his promises, and our trust." Cody's lips had parted, then closed. He shook his head, muttering, "It wasn't like that." "You don't know," Christine interrupted him. "We know perfectly well. We know better than you realize." Her tone hardened. "Meri left us the letter, the box, the proof because she wanted us to know the truth. And we do. Do you?" The courtroom was hushed. The only sound was the far-off hum of the air conditioning, and the soft scratch of a pen across paper as the clerk recorded something. Even the judge leaned forward, drinking in the tension, sensing the built-up energy in the room. Then Robin stood up. There were tears streaming down her face, but she spoke with a strength that was unshakable. "All these years we've trusted you. We believed your words, your promises, your love. And now we find out about Rachel, about the letters, about the secrets you kept. Did you ever think about how your lies would ruin us? How your choices would determine our lives forever?" Cody's hands were shaking. He looked at the evidence box, then at the three women, and then back at the judge. He opened his mouth, but nothing was said. His confidence had crumbled, leaving only terror and the weight of the truth crushing him. The truth does have the power to corner even the best of liars. The court lawyer stepped up, holding Meri's final letter in his hand. He read out the line that seemed to sum it all up. "If you are reading this, know that the man you trusted has lived many lives in one. Protect yourselves. Do not let his stories become your chains." The room took a breath as the words were digested. Christina's hands became fists. Janelle's jaw was clenched. Robin's breath halted. And Cody's face blanched, and for the first time in his life, he had no answer, no excuse, no control. Beyond the courtroom, a flash of light photographed by the press. Inside, a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal and grief and terror and the savage, unrelenting power of truth collided with one another like a hurricane. The wives, once bound together by loyalty and love, were together with conviction, now at last understanding the man who had made their lives what they were. The judge called a recess. No one moved immediately. Christine stared at Cody, a mix of sorrow and defiance in her eyes. Janelle looked at the letters, her mind racing through every hidden detail Meri had preserved. Robin pressed her hands together, whispering under her breath, "She did this for us. She knew we'd need this." Certain truths hurt worse than lies, but they can be the only things that make you free. As the gavel was brought down, summoning a recess, the courtroom emptied. Cody remained seated, hands together, staring blankly at the evidence on his desk. The three wives filed out together, rain beginning to fall outside, their faces streaming with tears that they couldn't be bothered to hide. And although the session was over, war wasn't yet won. Secrets had been divulged, trust had been shattered, and one letter had kindled a flame that would never be extinguished. The next battle, the next revelation would push every single one of them to emotional breaking point. The photograph, the diary, the cedar key, these stood alone in the courtroom, silent and obstinate, waiting for the next chapter to be revealed.